Contaminated drinking water kills countless children every day. You can help stop death. Visit lifetoday.org/water for life to give clean drinking water today.
I just want to do God's will.
The kind of revolution that the world needs is a Christian revolution.
If you want a miracle, you've got to expect it to happen.
You are the recipients of God's grace and God's blessings, and you rejoice in that reality.
Welcome to Life Today Live. I'm Randy Robinson. I've been married 34 years, and I got married when I was 21, right a week after graduating college. And I would like to say that it's been 34 wonderful years, and I mean, in some ways it has, but let me just put it this way. I would have been a lot better off, a lot better equipped, frankly, in my marriage if I'd had, I don't know, like a game plan. And I know a lot of you feel that way. And if you're young, this is really going to be helpful. But it doesn't matter where you're at. Maybe you're not even married and you're looking to be married someday. If you actually strategize for this, things can go a lot smoother. And it's relationships, so there's always room for improvement, right? Well, we're going to tell you a little bit about a marriage game plan today. In fact, that is the name of a book that is available right now, The Marriage Game Plan. Developing a winning strategy for marital success. It's written by George and Tondra and Gregory. And they joined me, and you know, it really is a true thing because as in any relationship, the better prepared you are personally, the more you know your proper role, the better things will be. So this will be a good one. George and Tondra, welcome to Life Today Live. Good to have you.
Thanks for having us, Randy. Thank you.
Yes, we're glad to be here.
So you guys have been doing this a while. You were with Saddleback Church for a while. Now you've got your own organization. What is it? Journey Together? Well, I can't.
Journey for Life.
Journey for Life. Sorry, I can't read my own name. And chaplain lots of football teams, which is kind of cool. Currently, the Los Angeles Chargers. What have you learned over the years?
Well, we've learned, man, that when we first started off, we were not ready, right? We learned that we needed a better game plan. You know, we did, some premarital counseling, more like, hey, let's talk about the wedding script and how the wedding looks. But it was just not what we needed. And what we found over the last 30 years of being married is, and also coaching couples, counseling couples, is that there's a lot of couples who they don't have a game plan. They just got love and just, rolling the dice to see if it'll work.
Yes, and I never realized, I think you just don't think that far ahead, like how, I guess you just feel like, oh, okay, you're married, so it's just going to work. But it does take effort, and that you have to work at it and deal with obstacles to you guys, to couples finding that unity and oneness and fitting together like a puzzle,
Yeah. Okay, so I get the football analogy, but from a marriage standpoint, what would a game plan actually look like?
Yeah, well, a game plan, what the first thing is it helps couples to go in the same direction or be on the same page, right? Like there's so many times a husband doesn't necessarily get the wife's perspective, or the wife doesn't get the husband's perspective. And so a game plan puts you on the same page, headed in the same direction. And so we look at the game plan as being sort of five steps as we outline in our book. One is defining a win. That means, hey, we want to win. Here's the way it looks. So in football, we would say, hey, we want to win the Super Bowl. That's the ultimate thing that we want to do. But in marriage, what's that ultimate thing? And that's like in 50 or 60 years of being married, what do we want to, for people to say about us? What do we want to see in our marriage? What happens for us? And the next one is to define your goals. It's not just enough to say you want to get there, but how are you going to get there? What's your plan? What's your modus operandi? And then we say you're on the same team. That's another one, is you got to know your teammates. So Tondra and I, we've been on the same team for 30 years, but let's say when we have what we call intense fellowship, right? That's an argument.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't feel like teammates, but we should know we're on the same team. So we say a part of your game plan is defining your opponents or your enemies to your success. And then throughout our book, what we do is we teach defining, or not defining, but getting a game plan or coming up with strategies, plays that you can run, the philosophy of how your marriage needs to be set up, things like that. Talk about it and get a strategy together.
Yeah.
Yeah, to stick with a little bit of the football analogy, there's Peyton Manning out there, Omaha, Omaha, right? You know that one, right? And you
Yeah.
see the quarterback yelling, and you see, the wide receiver, maybe as he runs by, he taps somebody. And from a football standpoint, those guys are communicating with each other.
Mm-hmm.
How critical is communication in a relationship?
Oh my gosh, it is so essential. It's the lifeblood of your relationship, because if you're not communicating, you're not in a relationship, because a part of being in a relationship is doing life together, relating to each other. And communication is that bridge that helps us relate to each other.
Who's the communicator in your couple? Is there one that's better than the other?
We are so different in our communication. So
Right.
I feel like George, he's the over communicator, and I am the under communicator. He's more like communicating verbally, and I'm having conversations in my head thinking that I have communicated out loud.
Yeah. But that could
Go ahead. Well,
could
I'm
be
just
a
wondering
real
if you've learned to read her mind yet, because that's
no,
the expectation, I think, for a lot of us.
No, and that's why when we travel, I always say, listen, if you think your spouse can read your mind, no, they can't. That's why sometimes we have verbal expectations, but most of the time we have the unspoken expectations, right? And so when it comes to communication in marriage, I mean, that's a deep subject, because that's one of the deal breakers for a lot of marriages, right? And so to me, it's not the words that are said most of the time, it's to understand the heart behind the words that are said, right? And so we've got this concept of kind of like when we were kids, they used to do double dutch, and that's just with the two ropes, and the person is just kind of waiting to jump in, and sometimes that's how communication goes. You're not listening to your spouse's heart. You're not saying, "Hey, I want to hear from you as God hears from you." You're really waiting to get your point across, or waiting for them to hear your point of view. But we've learned, at least try to put it into practice. Again, we're not perfect, but we try to put this concept into practice, is try to listen to the heart of what is being said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would just add too, like, this is an area that just doesn't happen automatically. Like, you really do have to learn each other's communication style. A lot of times couples try to force the other one to communicate in the style that they are comfortable with, but it's about growing and finding a unique game plan for your unique relationship, because it's made up of two different people who have two different styles of communicating.
Yeah, and I think one of the difficult parts, and you guys have been married long enough, you know this, there are some times where you actually have different goals. Like, you legitimately have your good reasons for wanting, something different than your spouse, and that can be a difficult one. You guys ever run into that?
Absolutely. Different goals is a big problem, because we come in with these unspoken expectations and goals of where we're headed, and it causes a lot of disconnection and causes us to be disjointed. And that's why it's so important to have that game plan, because sometimes we assume that our spouse has the same goals as us, but it's just more context around the goals. You may say, "Oh, our goal is to be married till death do us part." Okay, but there've got to be some smaller goals, like that gets you to that end result, right?
That's right.
So setting goals and making sure you're on the same page is crucial, and that's what a marriage game plan is designed to do, to help you get on the same page. No assumptions, no unspoken expectations. Here's where we're going. Both of us know how we're going to get there. Both of us are responsible for different aspects of getting us there.
Is that part of what you guys would outline as a sort of a vision statement? 'Cause that's one of the foundational things in your plan.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. We, corporate people would know, a vision statement, mission statement, and we know how to do that for company and business. But sometimes we don't understand that same concept for how it affects and impacts your marriage or your entire family. Right? When we know. When we're on the same page and our kids are on the same page, man, we are just better together. And we love the Bible. We know the Bible is our major source, but the Bible doesn't speak sometimes on the practical ways or the tools that you need. And that's what I love about Tondra with sort of her coaching background is Tondra gives the secret sauce and the tools of how to communicate, how to effectively do this vision statement and what it brings to your marriage. And I think that's what a lot of people need. A lot of people need not just sort of say, hey, God wants us to be married or be happily married, but how do you stay happily married 30 years, 40 years, 50 years after you say I do? That's the missing secret that I think a lot of people need in this society.
Yeah, and key part of that phrase, happily married, right? Because we see a lot of people with our length of time, they seem to be miserably married.
Yeah.
And that's really not. I mean, foundationally, we're both Christians. We have a different view of marriage than the world does. Let's face it. Where do you see marriage, not just in the relationship with each other, but as we relate to God?
Yeah, definitely. Because let's see, it's one thing to get married and it's a whole nother thing to be married, right?
Yeah.
We feel like God created marriage, so he knows what it's supposed to do in our lives. He knows what it's supposed to produce in us. And so understanding what he intended is kind of like if I want to get the best out of any product, say like my Apple phone, I have to read the manual. I have to say, here's what all this phone can do. If not, then I'm not going to maximize what it can do and what it's capable of. So I feel like with the Bible, it's kind of like that manual of here's what it's capable of doing, here's what it's designed to do, and here's how to maximize what you're supposed to get out of it. And so the Bible teaches us how to love. We are to be a reflection of God's image. George and I like to say marriage is God's best selfie to the world, right? Like we're obsessed in this culture and today with getting the best selfie, right? You take 1,000 pictures and look through them all, and only one is worthy to be seen to the rest of the world. Well, that's what God, our relationship is that best look for God, that best selfie. We're going to reflect his love, how we love each other, how we forgive each other, how we, work together, how we sacrifice patience and
express kindness and gentleness, right? And so I love that. I love that concept because we feel like that's one of the purposes for marriage. Of course, he wants us to be happy. Of course, he wants us to, have all the intimacy that we want to have. But really, marriage is a vehicle for expressing who God is in the earthly realm, right? So when I show up in public, or when we were first moved to New York City, and very few families were walking together on Sunday mornings, and here we were, Southerners moving to New York City to plant a church. For people in tow, people would ask us, where are you guys going? And we would say, we're going to church. And man, the amount of people who looked at us kind of strange and awkward. You guys, a family going to church together? That's right. This is what we reflect to society and how we love, how we forgive, how we share even our moments of intense fellowship, but we can make up and we can say, you know what, would you forgive me for my tone or my words? We feel like all that reflects God's image to the people around us.
Yeah, it does. Our words are powerful, but our lives are even more powerful when you live it out, man. That people see it. And they may not always like it. That's okay, but they'll notice it. All right, this is the book, The Marriage Game Plan by George and Tondra Gregory. It's available now wherever you get books. And if you feel like, I don't really have a winning strategy, or I've never really thought about it, this would be a great tool to help you just kind of clarify what you're trying to do. And, you guys counsel a lot of people. You've been in this space for a long time now. what are some of the most common things that you run into where people come in and they're like, okay, we got problems with our marriage, and you're like, yeah, I've heard that one before.
Yeah. I would say is just the differences. I feel like God, we are all, uniquely, divinely created by God. God loves difference. Like there's no two snowflakes that are the same, no two fingerprints are the same. So he loves diversity. So each one of us are uniquely designed by God, and that's not by accident. You know what I'm saying? He was intentional about creating each one of us. Now, the mystery is, how do you take two God uniquely designed individuals and bring them together? Because then he's saying, now become one. And I feel like that is one of the great mysteries of marriage, is how do you take two people and make them one when they are supposed to be different? And so that is the uniqueness of this marriage game plan, is taking you through steps of how to become one, and
Yeah.
how to shape each other and influence each other and help each other grow and be made more into the image of God.
Yeah, I see. So I think a part of that is like we're so different, right? Sometimes our differences is what pulls us apart
Yes.
or makes us feel like, why did I get married?
Yeah.
And instead of that, what we teach is, man, your differences are really what your spouse needs. That's another reason why God created marriage, is to bring oneness and solidarity, to bring you a helper. And sometimes I think our differences won't allow us to accept our spouse's help or fill in our gaps, right? And so we teach that the differences many times is kind of what you need to become your best self, right? Sometimes we allow it to get on our nerves, but really it's how could I take advantage of how different my wife is? So for instance, Tondra lives in the gray most of the time. She's 15 minutes fashionably late. And that would at one point get on my nerves. But what she's taught me in living in the gray is I need to take time off. I need to enjoy the moment. I need to put my phone down. I need to be present in the moment. And sometimes my A typeness doesn't allow that, right? But she has helped me. She's leveraged me in that. And so we feel like differences is a big part, whether it's communication, whether it's finance, whether it's intimacy. Differences sometimes can be a big factor in marriage.
Yeah, I agree. That is, it's for me, it's the couple's superpower. And I do think that's why the enemy is so bent on attacking that unity, that oneness, because if we can figure it out, then it becomes a superpower of how we complete each other, and how we are God's provision for each other to do what he has put for us to do as a couple, as a family, which is to pass his character, his nature, and his legacy from generation to generation.
Yeah. So this idea of two becoming one, there's this worldly idea. Every time I talk marriage, I bring this up. But there's a movie line, famous movie line, that just grates on my nerves, and it's from Jerry Maguire, football movie, right? And it's this idea of you complete me, and I get it, because you're talking about your spouse bringing things that you need, right? So there is a little bit of that. I guess I'm being harsh, but I think what I don't like about that is this idea that a lot of unmarried people have, which is, if I just can find a spouse, then I will be complete.
Oh.
And the beauty of a godly marriage is not that two halves become a whole. It's that two whole people
Yes.
become one, because that's a mystery. That's a 1 + 1 = 1 is not
Yes.
scientific normal kind of thing. There's something supernatural going on there.
Yes.
How critical is it, whether you're not married, looking to get married, or you're married and you're like, something's off here, that we become whole people before we try to go pair up with someone else?
Absolutely. And that is a part of the game plan, because if you haven't healed, if you haven't don't have self-awareness, if you're not made whole, then you're not going to have something to give to your partner to fill their gaps. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the point is, the reason why we have to be whole is because we have to come there to provide something for them, not take something from them,
Right.
but to provide something for them to help them be made more in the image of God. So in order to come full, ready to give, ready to provide your gifts, your talents, your strengths, is going to make their life better and vice versa. So that's what mutually completing each other is saying. No, like, we're going to be the super couple, right? Because now we're taking your strengths, my strengths, and now we have a more well-rounded view of life, of decisions, of abilities. So it's coming full in a full package to make for a successful relationship.
But I do think that, so coming whole to your relationship, none of us are perfect, right?
Right.
And we always say this whenever we travel and speak, is that you are married to more than what's in front of you. That means you think, you might think, oh, I'm fighting against my spouse, but you could be fighting against their history, their background, how they were raised, if they were abused or if they were neglected. You could be getting paid back from previous boyfriends or previous girlfriends. And so I think it's about coming to the table as whole as you can, but doing the hard work that while you're married, because let's face it, Tondra, over the last 30 years, she has told me, not because she has verbally told me, but I've realized in my marriage that I am not perfect. And for some of your listeners, that should be joy to their ears, but it's going to cut them to the heart. You are not perfect. And God, along the way, what he does is he shapes us, he molds us, and Tondra has helped me to receive my healing that God wanted to bring, but he's doing it through my wife. And so if I push her away, then I'm not going to get what I need fully from the Lord, because I think in marriage, that's the miracle, is how does the two become one, not just one in your relationship, but one in tune with God, with what he wants to bring in your life. And that's sometimes the real deal in marriage.
Yeah, I have no idea what my marriage counselor told us all those years ago to this day, right? But if someone had just said, "Look, you two, when you're young and get married, especially," but I don't know, it happens no matter when you get married. But both of you you should grow.
That's right.
You can either grow together or you can grow apart.
That's right.
Hit the nail on the head.
It takes work to grow together, and that's just the bottom line. All right.
Yeah, it does take work. And that's why we wrote this book, is because there are so many people, I'm bald head, right? And there was a point that I was trying to pull the rest of my hair out that I didn't have, right? And there's so many couples that they're trying to figure out, how do I stay in this marriage and get something done? Most of us, we don't know necessarily the steps to take, but having a proper game plan with a coach that can walk you through it, our book helps people walk through certain things. It's not a perfect book, but man, if you're looking for answers and you're looking for some tools and some solutions and you're ready to practice, this is what it means to have a marriage game plan. What we learned from watching the pros for 16 years is that pros on elite level practice every day.
Yeah, right.
So even in our marriage, if we're not willing to practice and put some tools in practice every day in our marriage, and sometimes that's doing things, Randy, that we don't really want to do, but we have to do. I don't know any of our players who don't want to eat what they want to eat, or that they want to go to the gym every day and bust it out. No, but to be at that elite level, we have to sacrifice and do the things that we need to do for the sake of the two becoming one and staying together happily.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard, that player that's really excelled, that's really come up, he's the one that shows up early and stays late. So they almost go beyond, they typically do go beyond what's expected of them.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
Absolutely.
same is true in life. George, did I just hear you say that Tondra is the reason you're bald?
Well, it depends on what day and what time you're talking to me.
All right. I want to show people your website. This is journeyforlifenow.org. And if you want to start your journey for life now, there's your resource, people, because it is worth it, I believe. Well, and you know what? That's where I'd like to maybe end this conversation, if I could, with you guys. For someone who is maybe they've been burned in relationships, maybe they're divorced, maybe they feel like they're never going to get married, or that they're trapped in a bad marriage. Is there hope to have a good marriage?
Yes. If your listeners are just listening, or if they're viewing us right now, we want to tell you, we say all the time that we are pictures of God's grace. We're not perfect. We started off really bad in our marriage. We were in a breaking point. We were hopeless, but we hung in there. And if we can do it, if God can work through us, we are pictures of God's grace. You can do it as well. And some of that, we like to say,
Yeah, we like to say it doesn't matter where you started or what's in your past. You get to decide where you're going in your relationship.
Right.
So you're not held back by anything but yourself in what you decide to do for your future.
yeah, but we implore you to don't die. Don't die in a sea of lifeguards.
Yes.
There's so much help out here. There's so many resources, whether it's a marriage game plan or other marital books. But most of all, turn to God. Ask him, help me in my marriage. The Holy Spirit is there to reveal all truth to us. And he can help you. Maybe it's a game plan, but maybe it's really dependent on Jesus. Help my attitude. Help me to forgive. Help me to let go. Bless my marriage in Jesus' name. That's what we would recommend.
Yes.
You guys are living proof. It can work.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, good plan. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your insight. I appreciate the work that you do. I know you're helping a lot of people on a very practical, granular level. So thank you for your service in that area.
Thank you for
Thank
having us.
Yeah, I appreciate all you guys out there watching. If you know someone that this will benefit, which is pretty much anyone, hit that share button. And if you haven't liked or followed or subscribed, please do that at Life Today TV. And there you go. No matter where you're at in your relationships, you need a game plan. It's available. We'll see you again next time here on Life Today Live.
Above all